Well, it's a day ending in Y, so I guess Joe Rogan has said some dumb shit that's going to get some people killed. Again, let's take this argument everywhere from anti-vaxxers. The idea being that the vaccine will force the virus to evolve, and it will evolve into a vaccine-resistant form, so we shouldn't get the vaccine. Fucking Christ. Did someone wish on a monkey's paw that conservatives would start believing in evolution? Not like this, you guys. Not like this. This is why if you have a monkey's paw, you wish for them to understand evolution, not just believe in it. Meanwhile, over on Twitter, I saw someone post a link to the Joe Rogan video, and a very peculiar thing happened in the replies. Post after post after post of people saying Rogan is right, and then backing this up with a screenshot of an NPR headline reading vaccines could drive the evolution of more COVID-19 mutants. And that's it. It's just the screenshot of the headline, not a link to the actual article. I wonder why they would do such a very specific thing. So many different people all doing the same very specific behavior. Feel free to pause the video here and think it over and just take a guess at why they might be doing that before I give you the big reveal. Okay, did you figure it out, Wikipedia Brown? By searching for the headline, I found the full article, and right there, 2 inches beneath the headline is the subhead reading, "Mutant coronaviruses can make vaccines less effective. At the same time, vaccines can contribute to virus mutations. But this is a slow process that should be manageable." And then if you scroll down and read the article, or you can also listen to it, so many options, you'll learn that COVID-19, like all viruses, is always mutating. In a vaccinated person, there's a chance that it might mutate in a way that makes it less susceptible to the vaccine. Then, if that vaccinated person is able to pass the virus to another person, and if that person is able to pass the virus to another person, the slightly less susceptible version of the virus will propagate. So in addition to the article immediately making it clear that this is not a situation that the average person should concern themselves with at all, making the headline wildly irresponsible, by the way. Good job there, NPR. But it does go on to explain why it's not even that big of a concern for the experts. Scientists don't really know how common breakthrough infections are, meaning a vaccinated person who, if tested, would test positive for the SARS-CoV-2 virus. The reason why they don't know is in part because there might be people who get it but are completely asymptomatic thanks to, in part, the vaccine. So they don't know they have it, they don't get tested. And if they're asymptomatic, the chances of them spreading the virus to other people is much lower than if they were symptomatic. Breakthrough disease, which is a vaccinated person who tests positive for SARS-CoV-2 and experiences the symptoms of COVID-19, the coughing, the sneezing, the fever, is extremely uncommon. Data released by the CDC at the end of July suggests that vaccinated people with breakthrough infections have a similar viral load to unvaccinated people, which in turn suggests that symptomatic vaccinated people may spread the disease as easily as symptomatic unvaccinated people, though that is not in any way conclusive, and we know that if the person they are attempting to spread the disease to is vaccinated, there's much less of a chance of that disease passing on. So that tiny percentage of people, those who have been vaccinated, who catch SARS-CoV-2 anyway, and who have the ability to pass the infection on to others, those are the people some experts are mildly concerned about because, yes, there is a chance that a virus will mutate to become slightly less susceptible to our current vaccines. That is always how viruses and vaccines have worked, and it has never really been a problem. You know why you need to get a new flu vaccine every year? Well, in part, that's because influenza mutates like a motherfucker. And scientists need to work to update the vaccine every year to target whichever version of the mutation is most likely to be flying around in the upcoming season. They're going to do the same for COVID-19. As it mutates, they will adjust the vaccine to better target that mutation. And it will mutate, not because of vaccinated people, but because of unvaccinated people. As I said, it only becomes a problem when it's spread from person to person. That happens best in unvaccinated populations, where the virus can easily hop from one host to another, mutating a little bit every time. A fully vaccinated population would have a spread that gets smaller and smaller, and eventually the virus runs out of hosts and goes bye-bye. Like what happened to polio virus, for instance, and like what happened to the outrageously infectious measles virus, until Andrew Wakefield, Jenny McCarthy, and friends let it come roaring back. Measles was considered to be eliminated from the United States by the year 2000, before outbreaks began popping up from parents choosing not to vaccinate their children. So it's the unvaccinated population that presents such a fertile breeding ground for a virus, which is exactly how we got the Alpha variant that tore through the United Kingdom before vaccines were even released, and now the Delta variant that developed in India, where only 9% of the population is fully vaccinated as of right now. But wait, I hear you cry. Joe Rogan mentioned a study from 2015 sent to him by doctors. Imperfect vaccination can enhance the transmission of highly virulent pathogens. So what's all that about? Well, it's about chickens. Marek's disease is a highly contagious chicken illness that at first, when it was first discovered, it caused mild paralysis in chickens. This was interfering with the poultry industry's bottom line. So scientists developed a vaccine for it. The problem was that the vaccine was what's known as leaky, which means that all it did was prevent the symptoms of the disease from appearing and hurting the chickens. But the virus behind the disease was still able to be transmitted just as if the chickens weren't vaccinated at all. This became a major issue because let's say a virus mutates to something really, really bad, so bad that the symptoms kill the host almost immediately. Well, that sucks for that one host, but because they die so quickly, they can't pass that mutation on, and so it dies with them. But if a vaccine prevents that host from experiencing those deadly symptoms, the host can go on living, strutting around the yard and pecking at ticks and laying eggs and doing whatever else chickens do, while quietly incubating this extra shitty new mutation. And since the vaccine is leaky, that host will then go on to spread the extra shitty new mutation to the other chickens. Fine for all of the vaccinated chickens, but the second it hits an unvaccinated chicken, boom, that dude is dead meat. Literally. That's exactly what happened with Marek's disease and what the study from 2015 was investigating. Prior to that vaccine's introduction, the disease rarely killed any birds, but today it is 100% fatal in unvaccinated birds. Now, can you spot the difference between the vaccine for Marek's disease and the vaccine for COVID-19? Again, I'll give you a second. Feel free to pause the video. Okay, time's up. If you said the vaccines for COVID-19 aren't leaky, congratulations, you win. All of the vaccines currently available for COVID-19, whether mRNA like Pfizer or viral vector like Johnson & Johnson, prevent infection. There is a vast difference, a vast gulf between a leaky vaccine that does nothing to prevent infection or replication like Marek's and an imperfect vaccine that substantially reduces the chance of infection like the COVID-19 vaccine, which isn't 100% perfect, but it doesn't have to be. No vaccine is. That's exactly why we need to vaccinate as many people as possible to stand the best possible chance of knocking the virus out before it has a chance to mutate amongst a huge population of unvaccinated individuals. Now, if only we could develop a vaccine against famous figures like Joe Rogan leaking misinformation all over the place. Oh, wait. That's public education, isn't it? Another long road to herd immunity there. Oh, and one more thing. Rogan says a vaccinated person at the Comedy Store spread COVID to a dozen people. I was very interested in that story, so I looked it up, and it turns out it's not true. What actually happened was that the comedian Jeff Ross recently announced that all of his friends at the Comedy Store started getting sick with COVID. So he was feeling fine, but he decided to get tested out of an abundance of caution and learned that he was also positive despite having been previously vaccinated. So he was a breakthrough case. We don't know who spread it to whom, but considering that he was asymptomatic when he got tested and then immediately fell ill afterwards, when he was quarantined, it's unlikely that he infected others. But hey, Rogan had a story to sell, and no one at Spotify cares that he's actively spreading dangerous misinformation, so there we go.